Alright, welcome everyone. This is going to be a quick tutorial on how to use the CSV Generator tool to generate your CSVs to use in the strategy analyzer. Whether you're copying the trader's cells or you're choosing to check what the best results would be not copying the trader's cells. Now this video is very important because this strategy analyzer is the most powerful copy trading tool in existence. It will tell you the absolute best entry and exit strategy for any trader, but it's based on a set of their recent trade. So we are going through each trade, whether manually or using the CSV generator, and we are generating exactly what happens from the point of entry until the point of selling or until the coin is at present state. With that data, this tool will tell us exactly what the best entry strategy would be, whether on a dip or immediately when the trader buys, and what the best exit strategy would be if you're choosing to check without copying the trader's cells, or even if you are copying the trader's cells. Now you can make these sheets by yourself by analyzing the last set of trades and just mapping out the price points or market caps at which they enter at any points along the trade, which would trigger stop loss or take profit, which would be any new lows, any new highs, all the way into the point of sell. If you have multiple cells, you can average the price and show it here in the sheet as sell. If you want to learn how to do this by yourself, we have a full tutorial on the strategy analyzer page. But today we're going to be talking about doing this automatically using our tool, the CSV Generator. Now what this tool is doing, it is taking every single price point, the price of every single transaction from the moment of entry until the moment that the trader sells, or if you choose, until the present moment of the coin where it hits its current value. Now, depending on what CSVs you choose to make, each CSV comes with a credit price. The reason for this credit-based system is this tool is extremely expensive to use. You are taking hundreds of thousands, if not millions of price points. And to do that takes an extremely high amount of API requests, much more than we can afford to account for at a monthly membership price of CopyTrader. But what we've decided to do is with your monthly membership of CopyTrader, you will be given a base 25 credits. These credits will never disappear and they will roll over if you do not use them. So you'll be able to use this tool each month as a part of your membership. And as you'll see later, if you're only checking a few tokens, the price will automatically adjust. So if you want to do these CSVs by hand, so you get a good look at the trader, how they trade, you get to see all their trades, then you just want to keep updating them with your 25 credits. That will probably be enough to do that. But if you are someone who wants to use the CSV generator more, we have no problem with that. You can use it as much as you want, but once you go over your 25 credits, you simply just have to buy more. And as I said before, we've made this completely dynamic. So based on your settings and what you're trying to do, the price of the CSV you generate will change. If I start a new sheet, you'll see that you'll be starting at the base price of 5 credits, which would be equivalent to $5. But if I only want to get the data from the buy to the sell, which is honestly what I usually do, then right away that cuts your cost down by half. And if you've already tracked a trader's last 100 trades and you just want to get their last 10 tokens from yesterday, then that's going to reflect in your price again. So by using the settings that I'm about to show you, you can make sure that you're saving on credits and getting the cheapest price possible. Now just to put this into perspective, to make these sheets yourself would take you 1 to 2 hours per 100 trades. I was paying a VA to do this for the last 4 months, and I was paying about $12 to $15 per 100 trades. With both of these methods, you would have to wait hours for the results. With the CSV generator, you could generate that same CSV for $5. There's no cheaper way to do it, there's no faster way to do it, and you can be spending as little as $2.50 to map out 100 trades. And there's nothing more than this. There's no better way to come up with a strategy for copy trading. The only thing that could beat this is literally predicting the future. You're taking the exact behavior of a trader's last 100 or more trades, running them through over 50,000 combinations to get the absolute best entry, the absolute best exit, and to be able to see the result of every strategy in between. Now there's no guarantee that that's going to replicate the results in the future, but I've been running this strategy for 1 week passively, not putting much effort into it at all because I've been building all of these tools. I haven't updated a single one of these traders after their first 100 trades. And my account is up $712 in 10 days with a moderately small buy size. And that's truly passive income. So let me show you how to make the CSVs so you can get the same results. So first you need to grab your trader pop the address in there, and then decide what range of tokens you want to scrape. Traditionally, 0 to 100 is a good choice. If you want to take more than that, you can honestly take the last 200, 300, 400, or 500 trades, but it can get a little bit expensive. That's a lot of API calls to do. I would recommend sticking with 100 to start, possibly even 50, just to get a preliminary look at this trader may or may not be profitable without spending a lot of money. You could decide to skip an amount of tokens, which we'll talk about later. You can put in a slippage percent, but I leave this at 0 because you can adjust slippage right here in the analyzer and change it as much as you want. If you put it in here, then it's going to be fixed in there, and I don't like that. So leave that as 0 unless you know something that I don't. You can put a minimum buy amount, and I found this to be very advantageous because I noticed with some traders that I was copying that they would buy with very small amounts of money, like $1, and let the token die. They would do this 30% of the time, and I think they were doing it to shake off copy traders. So in my bot, I have a setting which says I won't buy any token if it's less than $7. So if the trader is buying with less than $7, then I'm not going to buy it. So whatever setting you're using here, you're going to want to put in here because I don't want to see trades that they're buying for $1 if I'm not going to be buying those trades. Now, if you are trading with someone who has a buy size of $1, then don't put that. You need to go in and take a look at their buy size, take a look at their trades, and see if you need to do this to protect yourself from people trying to fuck over copy traders. So that's what I did. I'll keep it at 7. Then I have an option to display all the prices as market cap instead of price. Honestly, this doesn't matter. I would leave it unchecked. All that's going to do is instead of displaying as price, it's going to be displayed as market cap. So instead of being 0.00113, it might be 113,000. So I usually do leave that unchecked. This is a big setting. This is a very, very big setting, and we need to talk about it. So when we use our strategy analyzers, as I mentioned before, there's 2 options: to copy the trader's sell and to not copy the trader's sell. Now you have these options in your copy trading bot. You can choose to copy the sell or not. What this means is if I copy the buy on a dip and I enter here, I can choose to sell when they sell, or I can choose to just ignore their sells and just use a take profit and stop loss. In this trade, I would have made more money just using a take profit and a stop loss. However, me personally, I do like to copy the sell and rely on possibly taking a take profit before the sell. It all depends on your strategy. Yeah, it might seem like sometimes you lose out on upside, but I find with traders who hold for a long period of time, who are profitable, I rely on their sell because most of the time it would save me downside. It would protect me from hitting my stop loss. It would make me money, and I have the opportunity to use a take profit and make more money than they do in the trade. On the contrary, if you are trading with someone who's trading pretty fast and you don't want to get caught on the bottom of their sell, like this trader buys and sells within 30 seconds, usually it's advantageous to buy when they buy, possibly on a dip, and then use a take profit instead of copying their sell. And if it doesn't go well, then rely on a stop loss. So depending on your strategy, that's the kind of sheet that you want to make. What you also could do is make both. You can do this without having to run the generator twice. You can do this by generating a full sheet from the moment of purchase all the way to the moment that the token is dead, and then using what's here called a CSV trimmer, which will make a duplicate of the CSV, but will trim out everything after the sell. So you'll have 2 spreadsheets, and you can compare the results and see which one is better. So I know it can seem a little confusing at first, but all you need to know is if you don't have this selected, you will be paying the full price per 100 trades, and you will be checking from the point of purchase all the way to the present state of the token. If you do have this selected, you'll be paying half the price for 100 trades, and you will be checking only from the point of buy until the point of sell, which sometimes is very short and sometimes is still very, very long. When working with the strategy analyzer with copying cells turned on, it will only work with CSVs that stop after the sell. So those CSVs look like this. Here's the entry, here's the price movement, at the end is the sell, there's nothing after it. When working with the strategy analyzer, when the setting to copy the trader's sell is turned off and you are relying solely on take profit or stop loss, you must have this setting turned off. That will create a CSV that looks like this, all the way from the point of entry. It will map out when the trader sells the token, but it will continue to get price points after that point, and it will assume that eventually the token goes to 0 no matter where it is now. This is so it will force the algorithm to have to choose a take profit or stop loss, because if the coin goes to 0, then it forces the use of take profit and stop loss and will give you the best results overall. So whether you check this or not, the difference will be whether the information continues to be collected after the sell. One looks like this and one looks like this. One is much less expensive than the other, which is why it is half price to run like that. So if you think you are going to copy the trader's sell, you might as well save yourself the money and just turn that setting on. If you don't think you're going to be copying the trader's sell, then you can keep that setting unchecked. And you can always run the full spreadsheet through the CSV trimmer, and I'll show you exactly what that does. We'll take this spreadsheet that I download, and it will instantly trim everything that occurs after each sell. So it trimmed 45 rows. There were 2 rows where no sell was found, so the trader never sold, meaning the token was open, and it removed 431 cells. Now there's one thing I want to mention here. You see how it says here 2 cells were not found in the CSV that we trimmed everything after the sell. This means that the trader had open positions where there was no sell, so there therefore was no ability to trim everything after the sell because it never occurred. And that would look something like this with a trader who has open positions. And open positions are something that you have to deal with, because to use the version of the strategy analyzer with copies of traders cells, you have to have every row and every trade marked as sold. And there's 2 here that were not. It tells you that so you can go in and fix that manually. So how you do that is you come in and you look for anything that ends in 0 because the trader has not sold this token. Now, what you do here is up to you. Typically, if a token is very new and has not been sold, I simply delete it and I'll add it later, maybe tomorrow when I update this trader's sheet. Because what you might find is you might find that they just recently entered a trade. Maybe they entered right here and the trade is only here. So there's not enough data to know if you would win or lose in that trade. So if I entered here and and the trade was only here, I'd need to give it a few hours to develop. So I'd probably just remove this trade and add it later. In this open position, we entered down here. There was some opportunity for take profit. It's still really early, so I could decide to leave it and say that from this point, let's assume it goes to 0 and let's have that be a factor in our results. But honestly, this is too new as well. I would probably exclude it. So if this was an open position that was not sold and was shown like this, what I could do is just come in here and just delete this row. And then next time when I update the sheets, I'll come down, I'll find the time that he bought null. I know that's not this token, but let's pretend it is. I'll find the price that he bought it at on the sheet. I'll know that that's the last trade that we checked, and I'll count to see how many more trades we need to check to update this trader's spreadsheet, and that's what I'll do. So in this case, I deleted that row, but I might come down here and say, okay, this position is open, but it's been open for a long time. There's been a lot of price movement. The price has doubled. So, definitely a chance at taking my stop loss here, or taking my take profit. I'm just gonna mark it as sold at the current date and pretend that he exited here and see what the results would be. Same here, the price has doubled. I mean, I'm fine with pretending that the trader sold here because my take profit would probably have triggered already. So now there are no open positions because I took care of the 2 that were open. I showed you what I would do if there was an open position that was very early and the chart really hasn't moved yet. I'd simply get rid of it. This would be the last token I'd check. And then when I did the update for this sheet, I would start with the token that happened after this, which is the one that we deleted. So now there's no open positions. Every position is marked as sold, because if you don't do that and you leave this looking like this, then it's going to show a -100 for this token. It's going to show a -100 in the results of your analysis, and that's going to really affect your analysis. So you got to be careful. Make sure if you are running the first analysis where you are copying the trader's cells, that every single trade is marked as sell and there are no numbers, no zeros after any rows. So you can do this with the trimmer, and if there are no cells found, then you can go in manually and fix those 2 rows. On top of that, if you're not using the trimmer and you just simply selected to stop the price checks after sell, then you still have to open the spreadsheet and check if there are any open positions that are showing a 0, which in that case, it would show it without the sell. So no matter what, you have to go through and look at the spreadsheet, make sure that you close all the positions or delete the ones that you want to exclude. What you can do is select this next option, and this option should only be on if this option is on. It should never be on if it's not on. And what this will do is it will automatically mark any open positions as sold. So if there is an open position like this, where you're trading with this trader and they have multiple open positions, then what will happen is that at the current price point, the CSV generator will automatically mark the position as sold. However, it will not delete the 0. And I designed it that way because I want you to go through and know which positions are open so you can decide if you want to include them or not. So what you can do is a number of things. If you want to use this option and stop the price checks after sell, you can mark any open positions as sold. You can download the spreadsheet. You can upload it to the trimmer, trim all the zeros off. It will show 0 no sells found, so you'll be fine. All the zeros will be gone and you can run it. However, I prefer to open the sheets to see the open positions, to see if they are too early, if they're all here, and these are all showing zeros because the trader is trading at high volume, and these are all 5 minutes old, and I don't want to include any of these. I'm going to go ahead and just, in that case, just delete all of these open positions, probably this one as well. It's all trader dependent. Lastly, another thing that you can do, a hack, is that if you are trading with a trader who's buying at high frequency, like multiple tokens per hour, or even faster, multiple tokens per minute, there will be loads of open positions. You could kind of come in and look at the trader's page, see about how many open positions they have. If it's around 10 to 15, what you can do when you create the sheet is you can use this. So you can say, okay, let's get the first 100 trades, but we're gonna skip the first 15 trades because they're way too new. We're gonna stop price checks after sell. We're not gonna take any that are less than $7, and let's mark all open positions as sold because I'm not gonna get the first 15 tokens that are really new. So if any are open after that, that's fine. I'm gonna mark them as sold. I'm gonna generate the CSV. I don't need to look at it. It's downloaded. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna upload it through the trim post-sell data, get rid of all the zeros, re-download it, done. Ready to run it through the analyzer. So I know it's a lot. I know there's a lot of nuances, but you're doing 2 hours of work in 5 minutes. So to open up a spreadsheet and finalize it in 2 to 3 minutes, I think it's a pretty good trade-off. So here's the finished product. Basically, you'll see that all the information after the sell is gone, and you can then use this version of the spreadsheet in this version of the settings analyzer, compare it against this one, and see what the better option is. You don't have to spend any more money to do that. You simply run the sheet once. It's free to use the CSV trimmer as many times as you want. It doesn't use API calls. The goal here is just to give you as much customizability, as much control as possible. I considered automating all of this. So when you ran this, it created the CSV here. It didn't show you any of it, but I prefer to give everyone the data so they can do what they want with it. They can see it. They can manipulate it. They can have full control that will ultimately result in more success. So it's a bit of a two-step process, but personally, I like it better like this. So let's just compare the results of the two sheets that I just made real quick so you can kind of get a feel of what this would look like. So I'm going to keep this tab open. I'm going to open this one in a new tab. So I've got 2 tabs and I've got 2 spreadsheets. I'll open up the one where there's no data after the sells for when I'm copying the trader's sell. Put my slippage as 5 for buy and 5 for sell. We'll analyze and see what the best results would be. So using an entry with no take profit or stop loss, you actually wouldn't be profitable with this trader. But I imagine if I used a take profit or stop loss, then I would immediately become profitable. 7.7% ROI, including slippage. That's really not that bad using a minus 0.5% dip entry. Now I can compare all the best settings. The highest ROI I could achieve is 13% with a 66% win rate. That's entering on a 12% dip with 100% take profit, 15% stop loss. I would enter 15 trades out of, I think, about 50 trades. Not too bad, making money, profitable. But let's look at if we took the same trader and we did not copy his sell and we relied only on take profit and stop loss. Let's go to this one and we can choose the sheet that we cut that took all the data until assuming the token goes to 0 without copying the trader's sell. So let's open that up. We'll put our 5% buy slippage and our 5% sell slippage, analyze the entry strategies and exit strategies, and wow, we see a much better results. So that's with a 650% take profit. And as you can see in this strategy analyzer, there is no first tab, which is a dip only analysis, which only relies on copying sells because we are not copying sells. There's only take profit and stop loss analysis. If we go down, we can see that we're hitting stop loss a lot, and then we're getting some really big wins, and we can see what that looks like. I don't like that. That's not a chart I like. Pretty much says you're gonna lose, and hopefully win on one token 3 times because he bought 3 times. I don't like that. Not a strategy that I would use, but what I can do is come to all combinations. You can see if there's any combinations, any high win rate strategies that would yield a positive ROI. So I'm going to sort by win rate. I'm going to say minimum ROI. I want a minimum 7% ROI. Hide everything else. Okay, so now we're seeing that we can be profitable with this trader using just take profit and stop loss. I want to see if there's anything above a 14% ROI. Okay, so that's not very good win rate. So okay, I want that 80% win rate, but I want to be above 10% ROI. So 68% win rate, 12% ROI, or 70% win rate, 10% ROI. That's not that bad. So getting in when he buys, 35% take profit, 35% stop loss. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Entry at 0%, say 35% take profit, 35% stop loss. Got our buy and sell slippage. I want to see what that looks like. So we're winning 68% of the time. We got a 12% ROI. We're making money. Final balance, almost 16 Solana after 47 trades. So we're making almost 6 Solana if we're buying 1 Solana each time. And the chart looks like this. That is a chart that I like. Consistently going up. Now I checked 50 of this trader's trades. Now what I would do, I would say, okay, this is a good trader and I'm gonna keep an eye on him. And every day I'm gonna update my sheet with all the latest trades that he made. So if I come to their GMGN, I can see all their latest trades. And let's say that his latest trade was 2 days ago, but I see that tomorrow he makes 10 more trades. Then I can come back here. I can say I want to check the latest 10 trades all the way to the end. It's only going to cost me 0.5 credits, 50 cents. I can run it. I can add all 10 trades to the top of the spreadsheet by inserting 10 rows at the top. I can re-download it. I can rerun it and I can see if the trend continues, and I can continue doing that for every single day of his trading for the next month. Keep refining the strategy and see what's going to work over time. But I like this. I like a 68% win rate, I like a 12% ROI, and I like how the chart looks. So that just shows you comparing 2 different sheets, 2 different strategies, and why it's advantageous to use the more expensive sheet, which does take from the buy to the current state of the token. But one thing that I will mention is that this is limited, meaning there is a limiting factor. If you are checking trades like this, which last this long, then there is no problem. You're gonna get all the data every time. But if you are checking a token that the trader bought 7 days ago, and it's a token that's been running with millions of transactions, and there's 7 days worth of transactions, and this goes on for ages. Eventually, after 300,000 price points are gathered, it will stop because it's simply too expensive to gather more than that. So if you're gathering data from a trader who only trades once in a while, and he only trades once every 4 days, some of his trades are from like 15 days ago on high market cap tokens, then there's no way you're ever gonna get to the end because these tokens just have too many transactions. You would definitely get to the end of this one, but at a certain point, the generator will stop checking that trade. You'll see that it would have taken ages to get past that trade. And what you'll see in the sheet is something that looks like this. There will be a warning here at the end that says 1,000 page limit reached or something like that. And what you can do if you want to, you can come in, you can see, okay, we didn't get to the end of that token, so I'm gonna just check it manually. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna check from the buy into the sell manually. And when you're working here, you really would only really get this point, maybe this point, and then you wouldn't even have to collect any of these points. You just say it comes down to here. It would take you 2 seconds. You know, like honestly, it doesn't take that long to make these sheets. So if you do come across a trader who trades once every 3 days and his 10th trade from the past was like 20 days ago, so that token has 20 days of data, and you're collecting the last 100 trades, it's just too much data. There are limitations with this CSV generator, or else it would cost us $100 to make that sheet when you could just come in here and make that sheet in less than 1 minute manually. So after you make a sheet, even if you're just taking it to the sell, because sometimes traders hold tokens for like 20 days, so it's got 20 days of transaction data to take, and it might cap out after 300,000 transactions. Anytime you make a sheet, make sure you come in and you check that there are no warning signs at the end of the tokens. If there are, you can choose to just delete it and say, there's enough data that I'm obviously going to have triggered take profit or stop loss at some point, or you can check it manually. Okay, so last thing I promised. Last thing I want to mention is I showed you the CSV trimmer for the sell strategy that would eliminate everything after the sell, but there's another CSV trimmer for buy counts, which is optional, but it's something that I use a lot. So in your copy trading bot, whichever bot that you choose to use, you'll have the option in your buys. Well, I don't know if every bot has this, but I know that Definist has this, and I really like this feature, and it's called max active buys per token. Now, it's not max buys per token, because if it were max buys per token and the trader bought this and you had it set to 1, then it would buy once, and when they sold, and if they bought again later, because they're swing trading, it still wouldn't buy. It would never buy this token again, and I don't like that. But what I do like is max active buys per token, which means if they buy once, twice, 3 times, then that's an open position. And if you have max active buys per open position to 1, then you will only buy once per open position. As soon as they close the position, then if they buy again, you will buy once again. So you can really follow these swing traders, which are great for buying the dip. And I keep this on 1 all the time. I found the best results with that. You can experiment yourself, but I had many times where a trader would buy once, twice, 3 times, 4 times into a token that just died. So I bought 4 times into a losing token. One time I bought 7 times into a losing token, and it wiped out all of my profit. So now what I do is I only buy once into any active position. So if I hit my dip, then I hit it once, that's it. If the token goes down, I lose once. If the token goes up, I win once. But my win rate is high. So that like for like duality allows me to be profitable without risking all that downside buying multiple times into a losing token. But you don't have to speculate, because we have this tool which will trim excessive buy amounts on the same open positions, so you can test what it would be like to buy the dip on every single one of their buys, regardless of how many that is, versus what if I only bought once per open position. And how you do that is with the CSV trimmer for buys. So let's take this trader, for example. Now, how do I know if they have multiple buys for a token in the same open position? Well, you can see that the token name is the same, and you can see that the exit price is the same. So I know that the trader bought 3 times in this token, and they sold all at the same time. And this trader does that a lot. You can see they bought Pepe 4 times here, and they sold all at the same time. So they are buying a lot and selling at the same time. So what this tool will do is it will recognize any token names that are the same, that have the same exact sell price. So if you are doing these sheets manually, make sure the sell price is always exactly the same. So if I want to come and download this file as a CSV, I'm gonna come in here and upload it and say, okay, maximum buys per position. What do I want to set this to? I can set it to anything. I can compare multiple results, 2 buys, 3 buys, 4 buys, 5 buys. But for me, I usually do 1 buy. This is an optional thing to rank by price, but I find it not necessary. The only reason it would be necessary would be if their second buys were higher than their earlier buys, because then your dip would probably be triggered on the buy that was at an earlier price. But I know for this trader, they're usually averaging in. When they're buying a token, they're either buying 2 times at the same time to throw off the trader, or they're buying once and then they'll buy again if the token continues to drop to average in. So I only want to count this first buy, because the majority of the time, I'd say 95% of the time with this trader, if my dip is hit, it's going to be from the first buy, because that's usually the highest price. So as soon as I hit that dip and buy, then I'm not going to buy any more times, even if my dip is hit again, because I have this set. So here I'm going to set this to 1 buy. I'm not going to check this off. The only reason I would check this off is if my trader was buying and then buying as it goes higher, which is very unusual, but sometimes it happens. I'll click trim CSV and boom, it removed 32 trades instantaneously. I can download it, and this is what it looks like now, 17 trades. So you can see Kermit, which was bought 3 times, the same sell price. This was the earliest buy, because remember, the latest buys are here, so this is the one that's going to count. You can come here and see the entry at 0.00122, 0.00122 for Kermit, same sell. Everything is exactly the same, but the extra buys, the second, the third, the fourth buys are all removed. So now I can test this CSV versus this CSV in the strategy where the trader sell is turned on. I can test them both in different tabs, see which one works best. So that's it. I know it's a lot of information, but it's really important to get these sheets right, because the accuracy of these sheets is what determines your results. To summarize it in short, if you're using the analyzer where you're copying the trader's sells, which I typically do for traders who are swing trading and holding tokens for a long period of time, then make sure that there's nothing after the sells. Make sure you're always checking to see that there was no 1,000 page limit reached, and if there was, either just delete it, except that after 300,000 transactions, you probably would have triggered stop loss or take profit already. If you were trying to copy a trader's sells, then the position would still remain open, so you could choose to just simply close it at the last price point, or exclude it or check it manually. If traders have loads of open positions, I've seen traders with 20 open positions because they are trading hundreds of times an hour. If you run them and you're getting all of their open positions, which are down 20, 30% because they have not had enough time to get back up, then your results will be bad. You'll see from the earlier trades that you're going up, and then as soon as you hit the open position mark, you'll see a huge plummet. So you might not think trading with that trader is profitable when it very well may have been. So what you can do is you can skip the first 30 trades to only get their close positions. If you're updating a trader, you can just get their latest trades from yesterday. You can adjust your slippage in the dip analyzer, because the power of this, instead of doing it all at once, is that you have it forever. You can try different things, you can add to it. If you had to run this every single time you wanted to test something different, you'd be spending hundreds of dollars. But here you can make the sheet once, add to it for a very small amount of money, trim buys, not trim buys, trim for sells, test all different strategies with the same trader and find the best one. If you're not copying your trader's sells, leave this and this unchecked. Don't forget about minimum buy amount. Check for people trying to fuck over copy traders. And if you do that, if you take care of your open positions, if you have your sheets right, everything is clean, you will get good results. You will get truthful results, whether good or bad, and you will have the most success. So take your time with it. Thanks for watching this video. I know it was a long, boring video, but once you learn this, once you know how to do it, now you're set. So if you have any questions, head to Discord, ask in the chat, contact us here, and I'll be happy to help you out.